thank you, patrons, with a special patron shout out to Wilbur Seymour, who has joined the Nerd Radiant tier. That's my top tier. If the name is making your little ears twitch, sounds familiar, I have read and reviewed on the channel here a science fiction series that he's written. It's the Kuiper series. There is also a fantasy series he is currently writing. The first one in that series is called Young Witch. This series is about a young elf healer who is seen as being a little bit ambitious with her talents, while this one is one of my favorites because it has a very hilarious artificial intelligence character in it, and her companion featured on the cover here is Bob, a master technician of a decommissioned asteroid facility. Really hilarious. I will link my review for the Kuiper series down below, and I'll drop a link to Young Witch. But thank you, Wilbur, for joining the top tier of patrons. The support, that means everything. Now let's jump into my weekly reads video. This is where I take the opportunity to sit down, share with all of you what I have been reading over the past week, just any insights or takeaways I might have, plus what I'm going to read next. So I always start these off with what I finished. Nothing. I finished nothing this week, y'all. It's just not been a good week of reading for me. I haven't had a whole lot of time where I could just sit down and read, unless you count a little project I did. I had an author reach out and ask if I would like to read the first 3 chapters of a new medieval fantasy that he's writing. He's planning to start querying with it next year. I said, yeah, let me try that. Let me have a look and see what kind of feedback I might can provide. Really, I just wanted a sneak peek. This is someone who everything I've read by them I have loved. I don't know if I'm allowed to share what or who, so I'm just going to keep names out of it, but I really enjoyed what I've read so far. I hope I was able to provide some good feedback, and I am excited to read the whole thing once it's available. So that's all I finished. I'm still working on Vampire by Brian Lumley. This is the second book in the Necroscope series. Okay, while I haven't finished it, I do have some interesting things to share, and this may be funny to some of you. Last year was the first time I ever read Dracula in its entirety. I did it through the website. Oh, the name of the website is Dracula Daily. What that website does, you sign up for it, you get an email. So the way that Dracula is written is presented in journal entries by Jonathan Harker. And this service, Dracula Daily, they send you an email that matches with the date of Jonathan's entries, or in some cases it's a letter, a correspondence between Mia and her friend, but it matches with the date. I believe the date of the first email is May the 3rd. So if that's something you're interested in trying for yourselves, I'll leave a link to Dracula Daily. You can go ahead and sign up for it, and you'll get your first email on May the 3rd. So that was my first time reading Dracula. I have read Vampire at least 4 times. This is my 5th. I'm doing the audiobooks this round. Love James Langton. But I did not know until this reread that this is a bit of a retelling, or is that right, of Dracula. It may be that he borrowed from the legend, but he put his own bits of fiction. He embellished a lot, added a lot of really cool things. I never knew that Faithor Ferenczi was our Dracula and is used to explain how they came to be here on Earth. So the second book of this series, we learn the history of Tibor Ferenczi, who makes his appearance as the old thing in the ground in book 1 that speaks to Boris Drakozani, who infects him and gets him to do his bidding, bring him offerings, and all of that sort of fun thing. How vampires get introduced into the series and brought into the middle of the Cold War between East and West. Now in the first book, it was very clearly East versus West in the Cold War. We got to see what the 2 spy agencies were doing to combat the other. In this book, it is very clearly East and West joining forces to fight this new threat of vampires becoming more prevalent. I love that as we are getting Tibor and Faithor's stories about how they became vampires, what they did as vampires, how that's intertwined with true historical events. which I have learned so much about by reading fiction. There's a part of Faithor's story where he fights with the Mongol Empire, specifically Hulagu Khan, who I learned a whole lot about reading the historical fantasy series by Stephen Aryan, The Nightingale and the Falcon. I'll leave a link to those reviews down below for that series. But isn't it funny how you can learn so much fact by reading fiction? The more you know. So I'm also still working my way through This Inevitable Ruin by Matt Denneman, book 7 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Oh my gosh, I am so happy. My friend J. Daniel Layfield, who is also an author, I met and became friends with him when I read a book that he entered into SPSFC. Absolutely adored it. Why did the name of it escape my memory? For some reason, when I'm trying to think of what the name of that one was, all I can think of is Spellfade, which is the one he entered into SPFBO. I will find the name of the sci-fi one that I read and love so much, and I'll link it, and I'll link Spellfade down below in the description below if you want to check those out. But I'm so glad that he is blazing through this one. I am way behind, and I'm just stopping and sending him all of the funny moments that I'm reading. I'm sending them to him. All of the moments that are making me go, what the F? Which I also need to send to Derry. I know she's already read it too. It's amazing. It's huge. This is war on a massive scale. I wondered how this was going to be broached. How was Matt Denneman going to tackle something that has been talked about since the very first floor of the dungeon in the very first book? This is something that has been alluded to. Every reference to this floor, to the faction wars, has just been full of foreboding. We knew it was going to be messy, it was going to be bloody, and I am just floored by how well this is going so far. So loving that one, but I think I'm only like 40% of the way in. When I tell y'all I haven't been reading much this week, I just haven't been able to sit down and concentrate. Got a lot going on. I've pretty much just been a vegetable watching basketball and playing Overwatch 2 and reading a little bit here and there when I can. Speaking of watching basketball, have any of you watched the season finale of Penguin? What? Oh my goodness. I am incredibly excited for season 2 after. I mean, I was already excited to see where this was going to go. After watching the first couple of episodes, I was completely invested in this story. I liked the direction. I liked how dark it was. I liked that it was focused on Penguin. I liked that it didn't try to incorporate every single person involved in the Batman Gotham area, other than a couple of throwaway comments about what the Riddler did because of where the story picked up. But the end, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. If any of you want to talk about it and you want to do it in the comments, type Penguin spoiler, hit enter a whole bunch of times. Tell me what you think about that ending. I can't wait. I'm going to be looking on the internet every day. I'm going to want to know if what I think is going to happen is going to happen. I want to know who's going to be cast in those. Y'all. Very, very excited. Oh, I think Yellowstone started back finally. I think it's supposed to be the last season. I haven't watched any of it yet. I've got to get in on that. I wonder. No, I don't have time for a rewatch of the other seasons before I start this one, especially because we're about to hit the holidays, y'all. Next week is Thanksgiving. Oh, I gotta start packing. We're gonna go to my in-laws for Thanksgiving. Chris has just got just a couple of short days off, so we're gonna go somewhere close by for Thanksgiving. Then we're gonna spend two and a half weeks at home for Christmas. Probably gonna be some real short reading discussions over the next few weeks because of the holidays. Are y'all excited? I haven't even finished taking down my fall decorations and gotten started on Christmas yet. Am I even gonna worry about it at this point? I don't know. We'll just have to see. I may say no right now, and then tomorrow I'll wake up and be like, everything has to be Christmas right now. What are y'all gonna do for Christmas? Are y'all traveling? Are you staying home? I just wore myself out thinking about it. Well, let's talk about what's next on the TBR. I do think I will be finishing Vampiri very soon. That's going to leave open a slot for an audiobook. I need to actually get on my Libby app and get in line for it. But what I would really like to listen to next is The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose. This is a novella that's part of the Molly the Maid series. Now, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I read the description. It doesn't matter. If it's part of Molly the Maid, I'm gonna read it. It takes place at the Regency Hotel where Molly works, and the employees decide that they're going to do Secret Santa. So my guess is this is gonna be a little mystery of Molly attempting to figure out who her Secret Santa is, perhaps, or maybe it's because she's neurodivergent. She's trying to play detective to find out what sort of things the person that's her Secret Santa, she's trying to learn more about them so she can get them cute gifts. I'm not sure. I can't wait to find out. So that's what I want to be my next audiobook. My next read is going to be Nobody's Son by Sean Stewart. This is a YA speculative fiction adventure fantasy book by Sean Stewart. It's my patron pick of the month. Chad picked this one for me. That's going to be my next physical read. And then I'm going to dig into Death Game by Joseph Sale. It's the sequel to Save Game Lit RPG. If you all are fans of Dungeon Crawler Carl like I am, this series, Levi's Game, needs to go onto your radar. Save Game will be available at the end of January. I'll put a link in the description below. Loved it. I recently filmed a review. I'm going to have that up, I think, in a couple of weeks. I want to wait till closer to time that it's going to release so that if you hear the review and you're like, yes, I need that, you won't have to keep it on your mind for long before you'll be able to pick up a copy. So that is all I'm going to put on the TBR for now. I have done such a horrible job. Well, it's not my fault. Life's been crazy and I haven't been able to read like I want to. I think I need to stop doing monthly TBRs because I'm just not able to fulfill those. So I think I just might start doing weekly TBRs. You know, just waiting and seeing what I read in a week. What am I going to finish? Is the likelihood of me starting something, you know, all that sort of fun things. So I think I might just start doing a weekly TBR. What do y'all think? What do you think? You want me to still try to do a monthly one and just keep bringing over the books that I don't finish from month to month and then just mentioning the new ones, or just do weekly TBR? Let me know. I'll go with whatever y'all decide. Y'all make the decision for me. That way I don't have to. So that's where I'm going to wrap this one up today. This week it's been a little bit of reading and a whole lot of rambling, but I do thank you for hanging out with me anyway. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and I'll see you in the next one. This channel would not be what it is today without the wonderful support of its patrons. Thanks again to all of the Nerdy Narrative patrons, with a special shout out to the Nerds Radiant. Chad, John, Gail, Amanda, Star, Tara, Ann, Amanda, Andrew, Kate, Ev, Sharon, and Wilbur.